Welcome to this e-seminar on exchanging data in freshwater sciences, during which I want to provide you some insight on the BioFresh project and the data portal. I'm Eike de Wever. I'm working at the Royal Belgian Institute of Natural Sciences as a scientific data manager for the BioFresh platform, and I'm also coordinating the development of the data portal itself, on which we focus during this e-seminar. So during this seminar, I want to provide you some insight in the BioFresh project, and more specifically into the information platform and the data portal, tell you how you can contribute to this initiative, how you can contribute data, and also go a little bit into our future vision for the BioFresh project.
Hello, my name is Clement Tockner, and I lead a collaborative research project titled Biodiversity of Freshwater Ecosystems, Pressures, Status and Conservation Responses, or BioFresh for short. BioFresh is a multi-partner EUF7 bioinformatics project that aims to create a data portal and network of interoperable databases and associated tools to improve scientific inputs into policy. Until recently, freshwater ecosystems have been neglected by environmental policies, largely focused on headline-grabbing global agendas like climate change and deforestation. The EU funds many framework projects like BioFresh, where scientists from different countries collaborate to share their data, expertise, and ideas. BioFresh knew that there was plenty of data on freshwater biodiversity, but it was locked up in various museums, research institutes, and universities around the world. If this data was pulled together, knowledge on global freshwater ecosystems could be significantly improved, which would in turn better inform policymakers. The BioFresh vision is to link together these pieces of the global biodiversity puzzle to create an online open-access data portal for scientists, policymakers, businesses, NGOs, and the public to use. By creating a data commons, BioFresh helps raise public awareness of freshwater ecosystems conservation, encouraging transparency, democracy, and engagement in the environmental policies that shape our everyday lives. Needless to say, compiling an accurate and accessible database isn't straightforward. Once common standards are agreed, scientists can begin analyzing the patterns of global freshwater biodiversity and its threats. We can then identify where conservation efforts should be targeted. BioFresh is part of a global scientific network assembled to support a new United Nations initiative on biodiversity and ecosystem services. By creating a more credible and comprehensive scientific basis for European and global environmental policy, our work will guide effective conservation strategies for freshwater ecosystems, helping safeguard the many benefits and services they provide. I hope this has helped improve your understanding of BioFresh.
So the starting point for BioFresh was the fact that freshwater biodiversity is actually tremendously threatened. Now, there are several indications that the decline in freshwater species, the extinction rates in freshwater, are actually a lot higher in comparison to other environments, such as marine and terrestrial. But on the other hand, the data on trends, on the evolution in species populations and so on, are largely lacking. And so, as outlined in the introductory video, BioFresh started from the realization that we know a lot of data is out there, but it's hard to get by. And a lot of the partners which are involved in the BioFresh project have actually experienced this when they try to gather data for their analysis and modeling work. So a lot of data is actually collected by public institutes or funded by public money. And from this research institute, this data is often available upon request. But as there's a good overview of what data is available is often lacking, it's rather hard, tedious to get the right data you want for your research. So we believe that for those institutes installing a real data management and even data publishing policy would be really beneficial. So this would of course include making their data available through a public archive or a public repository. On the other hand, for researchers, there's always the concern that they want to publish on their data first, and this is obviously a very genuine concern. They want to publish on their data, but all too often the publication of the data itself is very much delayed or even completely forgotten about. And one way to address this is the new development of the data papers. And those data papers are actually a means to describe the data and make it available at the same time while providing credits for the people involved in producing this data. As part of the BioFresh project, we did an exercise to see how to look into how much freshwater occurrence records there are actually out there. And for this, we took a list of freshwater species and retrieved data from the GBIF network, the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. And we ended up with almost 9 million occurrence records from 1,200 data sets. And while this number may sound rather large, actually if you look at the whole of the GBIF network, which has now almost 420 million records, this is just around 2% of the whole data volume they have available in their network. And if we now look at which of those 1,200 data sets which contain freshwater data are really freshwater data sets or predominantly containing freshwater species, then the picture is even more dramatic because we only found 17 of those data sets, and which to me really shows that there's an urgent need to mobilize data specifically in this field of freshwater biodiversity. BioFresh aims to bring together the existing freshwater biodiversity data in one central place, as we believe that this will help the large-scale analysis and modeling work and improve our understanding of freshwater biodiversity. We also believe that this can then support better management and policy with regards to freshwater. I suspect that knowledge on the distribution of species as available through the data portal is also an important resource for identifying the needs in freshwater biodiversity conservation. And for this reason, we have teamed up with the IUCN Freshwater Group, which is one of the partners in BioFresh, to include their expert-validated distribution ranges in the data portal. However, if we really want to rely on the raw occurrence data, we would really need to have a huge increase of the records that are made available. And for this, we are very much looking to your contributions. The BioFresh platform provides access to different components, such as, for instance, information on the project and the network, then to the data portal, which contains information on species, on occurrences, and on data sets related to freshwater, of course. And then there's the Global Freshwater Biodiversity Atlas, which contains thematic maps on subjects related to freshwater biodiversity, and which is an excellent outlet for results from researchers working in this area. And then there's an important resource section with training material, with policy briefs, with papers, and so on. And finally, there's a blog section, which is an active forum to discuss any freshwater biodiversity related topic. BioFresh partners have published around 40 scientific papers at this stage, and most of the data underlying those papers will be published or linked to the data portal, and the main results will be showcased through the atlas. On the other hand, we've also been advocating the data publication a lot, and for this we have, for instance, a collaboration with freshwater journals on which we have published an opinion article, and in addition we're planning a team issue of a data journal in which we will publish or bundle data papers on the data released through the BioFresh data portal. So in the data portal we have gathered information on 160 data sets in the metadata base. In addition, we're adding information on 100 data sets through the WISER project on water in Europe, and we're also linking up with complementary initiatives such as the ENV Europe's LTR, the Long-Term Ecological Research Sites metadatabase. With regards to the data, the occurrence database in the data portal, we started out with a small set of macrofauna data that we harvested through the GBIF network, and later on we harvested data from a set of freshwater checklist from the FANA project, the Freshwater Animal Diversity Assessment project, which also acts as a taxonomic backbone to the BioFresh project. And from this species list, we harvested data from the GBIF network again, and this yielded around 9 million occurrence records. And recently we have also integrated the first real BioFresh data set, and we have a lot of those in the pipeline, and we'll be integrating them towards the end of the project. In the BioFresh project, we're also making the data available through the GBIF network, and the aim is to become a real thematic freshwater node to the GBIF network. And to ensure that the data are not entered in duplicate, we have a set of quality control procedures in place to check for this. And we also check, of course, with the data holder whether they're not already published through the GBIF network, but eventually this remains to a large extent the responsibility of the data holder. In terms of data availability, I believe there's still major gaps for almost any of the organism groups, even for highly studied regions such as Europe and Northern America. To some extent, the BioFresh data mobilization project may have helped in this respect for the fish, for the caddisflies, for instance, but there's still a huge way ahead. And personally, I see a huge need to complete insect and macroinvertebrate data, especially because these are often indicator species, and there's relatively little data on them available. In addition, I believe a useful data mobilization strategy may be to go after data from biodiversity hotspots such as the eastern European lakes Ohrid and Skadar, and the Carpathians, the eastern and western Alps. But in general, I believe we should try to ensure the usefulness of data mobilization for the management and policy on freshwater biodiversity as much as possible. And for this, we need to align these strategies with the needs from the major stakeholders. Such an exercise was not originally planned for the BioFresh project, but we still plan a preliminary survey among those stakeholders before the end of the BioFresh project, which is in April 2014. There is still a huge amount of data to be integrated, and obviously BioFresh cannot do this by its own. And we're very much looking forward to any contributions. And first of all, we're looking to contributions with regards to what data sets are out there. We want to know what data exists, and for this we want to include information on data sets in the metadatabase. And this is very well explained in this video, which I'll show next.
The BioFresh metadatabase stores searchable information, or metadata, on ecological datasets related to freshwater biodiversity. If you would like to contribute to the metadatabase, the first step is to send an email to the BioFresh data team at data@freshwaterbiodiversity.eu. Your email should include a brief description of your database as well as a request for login information. Once you receive your username and password, you can enter information about your data through the metadatabase questionnaire. To access the questionnaire, go to the BioFresh data portal, navigate to the metadatabase page, and then click on the metadatabase questionnaire login button. You can then enter your username and password and log in. The questionnaire webpage provides an overview of the questionnaire or questionnaires that you can edit. By clicking on the Open Edit button, you can enter metadata about your freshwater biodiversity dataset. When you click on the Open Edit button, you will first be taken to a help page that has further information about how to use the questionnaire. The next section gives a brief introduction to data entry in the metadatabase. There are three types of information in the metadatabase questionnaire. The first type of information is mandatory and color-coded in purple. The second is recommended and color-coded in blue. And the third is optional and color-coded in green. To enter information, first click on the Open All Subsections button. The first subsection or information block of the questionnaire is titled General Information. As an example, we will now fill out information in this section. We first list the type of database as Others, and then fill in further information in the text box below. We then fill out a short summary paragraph for the database, in this case explaining that this training database is designed to train users to use the metadatabase questionnaire. We then fill out the keyword sections and press the Save Questionnaire button to save our answers. At any time within the metadatabase questionnaire, you can find further information about sections of the questionnaire by either mousing over the section itself to reveal a tooltip as shown here, or by clicking links to further information at other websites.
Documenting information on a data set is actually also the first step in making the data itself available. And making this data available can be done in different ways, going from publishing data through an Excel template to really installing a publishing tool on your own servers. Now, you can get in touch with me for further information on this, but at least the example of publishing data through an Excel spreadsheet is explained in the next video.
The BioFresh Occurrence Database is an online collection of data on the range and occurrence of a number of freshwater species from around the world. If you would like to include your occurrence data in the BioFresh Occurrence Database, there are a number of ways you can do this. One option for submitting your occurrence data is through the BioFresh Data Submission Spreadsheet. Submitting data with the spreadsheet will be the most straightforward option for many small datasets and is especially suitable for a finished dataset from an individual researcher. The spreadsheet can be opened in Microsoft Excel and other spreadsheet programs. The spreadsheet itself is made up of a number of fields. Here we can see the section of the spreadsheet related to a specific occurrence record's taxonomic information. Most of these fields are based on the Darwin Core Standard. Each entry is typed into a new row of the spreadsheet. By hovering your mouse over a column title, you can see a more detailed description of the information needed in that column.
One way to publish data is actually to do so in parallel to publishing a data paper. And a data paper is actually a description of what's in the data set. So it's basically not much more work than packaging the information that you've entered through the metadatabase in a format that's suitable for a data journal, such as the Biodiversity Data Journal. And this publishing a data paper also allows to really unambiguously cite the data, which will help researchers pick up this whole data publishing movement. The BioFresh project itself is almost coming to an end, actually in April 2014, but we've put a lot of effort in building this web infrastructure in the platform and the data portal, and we definitely want to continue working on this. And for doing so, several partners have already committed that they want to keep these efforts on the data portal and so on going. And in parallel, we also want to establish a broader network of experts in the freshwater realm, and both in terms of science and data management, and bring them together to move the BioFresh or the freshwater biodiversity occurrence database, species database, and the metadatabase forward. Thanks a lot for joining this e-seminar. I hope you enjoyed it and it helped your understanding of the BioFresh project and data publishing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. At this stage, I would also like to thank the FP7 Water Disk project who made this e-seminar possible. And I would like to point out that the video and the answers to this seminar will be posted on the BioFresh website. Thank you.